Welcome to the EdTech Chat and Chew podcast, the podcast where four passionate teachers from different parts of the country get together on their lunch breaks to share resources, tips, and ideas to help you empower your students. Each week, we'll do our best to inform and inspire you with the amazing things that are happening in our schools. We're very happy that you've joined us today. And now, here's your host, Diane Smokorowski.
Episode number 10, EdTech Chat and Chew. And we are coming to you from all kinds of great little places around our country today. Some of us are in districts, some of us are in other places, but we have all been on the road of one fashion or another lately. So we're excited to share some great information from the latest EdTech conferences. So I'm Diane Smokorowski from Kansas. Always with me from Pennsylvania is Mike.
Hello, everyone.
And from Irving, Texas, we have Andrea.
Hi, guys.
And from El Paso is Karen.
Hello.
Okay, friends, you have seen some very cool stuff, but the biggest news of all, this all goes to Michael. I want big news from D.C. Fill us in.
Yeah, so it was kind of a quiet week. I only met the president and hung out in the White House for a little bit. So I was blessed to be chosen as one of 2012's presidential awardees for excellence in math and science teaching. But we know that sometimes the federal government doesn't quite do things in the speediest manner, so we weren't honored until 2014. So our trip was earlier this week, and despite the snow that shut the government down on Monday, the president didn't have to leave his house, so he was able to still meet us. We had meetings with the National Science Foundation and National Geographic. We discussed STEM education policy. I don't think I realized the magnitude of the award until I got down there and had like the director of education from National Science Foundation actually hanging on my every word on how we could improve STEM education in the country. So it was kind of a surreal experience. I feel like I just woke up from an incredible dream, and I almost can't believe that it actually happened, but it was an amazing trip. And then just today, I got back to school. Today's my first full day back, and this morning we had a musical exchange with a group of second and third graders in Kenya that Diane had hooked us up with, and we exchanged songs. I had all kinds of incredible EdTech projects going on, and we actually, right after I'm done with this call, we have a mystery Skype going on with Italy. So it's been an absolutely wild and incredible week. One of the best weeks of my life. It's just been awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like, what a way to go spend your birthday week, you know? I mean,
yeah. Oh, and it was my birthday yesterday, right? So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask you this one. Meeting the President of the United States, explain that. I'm sure it was just a few seconds, but explain the story.
Yeah, okay, so the first thing that I'll tell you, right after I shook his hand, the thing that struck me most, he has incredibly soft hands, which I know sounds weird, but he just does. He must moisturize regularly or something. But we spent most of our morning with the Office of Science and Technology Policy meeting with the president of the National Council of Teachers Mathematics and the National Oceanographic Association. We were supposed to meet with the education director from NASA, but they couldn't make it due to snow. Arnie Duncan got snowed out. He couldn't make it, so we met with one of his undersecretaries. But after all of those meetings in the Eisenhower Administrative Building, which is right next to the White House, around 4:40, we walked over to the White House. We went into the East Room, which, if you know anything about the White House, that's where the president does a lot of his press conferences. It's where Presidents Kennedy and Lincoln had rested in state after their assassinations. We all got up onto risers very neatly because, you know, we're teachers. We're good at that kind of thing. So we had about 20 minutes. First, the president's science and technology advisor came in and talked to us about the importance of STEM and how proud the president was of us and all of that. And then the White House usher spent 10 minutes telling us the history of each of the different rooms that we were in and that were around us. And then the president walked in on that red carpet that you see when he walks in for press conferences right in front of me. It almost looked like it was TV. You couldn't believe it until he was standing in front of you, and then spent about 5 or 10 minutes talking to us about actually his daughter's experiences with math and science, and actually about when he was a student. how he was a very good math student until ninth grade, where he started slacking off a little bit and not studying as much as he should, and told us how important STEM education was and all that. And then we took a picture with him, and he wanted to shake each of our hands. So we got into a nice line the way that teachers do, and we each took a couple seconds shaking his hand, and he told me personally, Mike, I'm proud of what you're doing for the country, which was kind of a surreal experience. And then when he left, we had not been allowed to take any pictures inside the White House for security reasons. But the White House usher told us, on your way out, as long as you don't take too long, if you'd like to snap a picture or two, that's fine. And up until that point, we were very orderly and everything was great. It was like someone had thrown $100 bills all over the White House. There were teachers taking pictures behind furniture and scattered all over those rooms. It was like mayhem for 10 minutes before they could get us all out of there. But it was just an incredible experience. And let me add this a little bit. The next day, we actually took a tour of the White House, an official tour, and we didn't have it wasn't until that tour that we realized the incredible access that we had had the day before. And we ran into the same White House usher that had gave us the informal tour the day before. And he actually said to some of the teachers, he said, the president had an awful day yesterday, and while you may feel like it was a gift of his time to you, really he feels like meeting you was a gift to him, because that 20 minutes of his day were the best part of his day, and it made him realize through all of the other stuff that was happening why he does what he does. So that was kind of a powerful statement to us as teachers, and like I said, it was just incredible.
That's awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Now, just to compare notes, because I met him last April, met the President of the United States, and I thought he had an uncanny sense of making you feel at ease. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I didn't realize until the next day again, until we had that conversation with the usher, but he had kind of an odd kind of hop to his step when he came in, and I noticed it when he walked into the room, and it wasn't until the next day when we heard about how awful of a day he had the day before that we realized that was just him trying to prepare himself to put on a happy face and make sure that all of us felt welcome and knew how important it was to him to meet us. And yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
Wow.
It's truly incredible. Truly incredible. And I was surprised how tall he is. Everybody's taller than I am, but I was surprised at how tall he is.
Yeah, tall, and he's very lanky. I was surprised at how thin he was. Yeah, he looks like a basketball player.
So you do have an official White House photo coming, right?
I do, yes. Actually, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy tweeted out a picture of the president speaking to us yesterday that I'm in the top corner. But we do have a White House, official White House picture coming, and the woman who's in charge of the PA-EMST program put in a request for the other White House photos, including photos that were taken of many of us shaking his hand. So there's a possibility that I may get one of those photos. But enough about me. Tell me about your conference, Diane.
Oh, I'll get to that in a minute, but just give you an FYI. I met the president in April and received my presidential photograph with him in July. So don't expect something right away, but eventually it will come. And
well, that sounds about par for the course.
I have it. Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was when you get it back, you're like, the president. It's amazing, and our listeners may think one way or the other of the president. It's really not about that. It's about respecting the office.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that somebody who supports teachers, high five. That's what it's all about. But I'm going to jump over to Andrea. I want to hear about South by Southwest.
Wow. So I also did a little bit of traveling this week, and I have to admit, I'm very glad that today is Friday. In just a few hours, I'm going to be able to sleep in my bed for like 3 days straight. I'm so tired. I had an opportunity to go to South by Southwest EDU, which, if you've heard of South by Southwest, is this ginormous film festival and music festival. But now, before all that, they have two strands, South by Southwest EDU, and they also have the strand South by Southwest Interactive, which is going on right now. So I got to go just for a couple of days because I didn't need to miss too much school, and we had open house this week. So I went, and it was just a very different style of conference. I had a chance, though, to do a hands-on session, which I've done sessions before, which are kind of interactive, but definitely nothing as hands-on as this one. I had 4 tables, and I did get a microphone, but there was no projector. It was just like in the middle of this room. So I sent the tables on missions. So they had to complete 3 missions, and as they completed the different missions, they got the next mission and a piece of Moby, because I was hanging out with Brain Pop. And at the end, they got a little prize. But then I showed them how I was using challenges for my teachers, also with the classrooms that I enter in, and also my school in a whole, how I'm using challenges. So I got a really good response from it, and I definitely, Brain Pop had me think outside the box to do a hands-on session that way, and I definitely can't wait to try that again, because now, and thank goodness I had you guys to bounce ideas back and forth on, because it turned out fantastic, and the teachers were like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing ever. You mean I could ask the kids to figure out how many miles it is to a certain place using Google Earth? So, and I definitely talked about you guys, but it's just a different style of conference, because I was at the same place just the month before for TCEA, which is our big tech conference, and this one was more for like startups and not necessarily vendors, but people that were BrainPop does this awesome thing where they have Game Up, and they partner with different companies. So there was a lot of different companies that would come up and talk about how their game might work with being on the BrainPop portal, or how they could collaborate together on different things. But there were some educators, but it was mostly only about there was probably only about 25% were actual educators that were there, maybe 30%. So it's just a different style of conference. They didn't necessarily have the Wi-Fi as set up as TCA does, but it's also geared toward a different kind of thing. But it was fun. It's definitely an awesome experience. I got to meet some really cool people. I did get to meet the Adventure to Fitness guy, which I thought was awesome. So yeah, it was fun. Oh, and I got to meet Jack and Draka, which that was like the highlight of my, because he was tweeting back and forth, and finally he followed me so we can instant message each other. So he was actually about to have an NBC interview, and he came over to the area that I was in just so I could have a picture, so then he could run back. I was like, man, you just made my day. And if you don't know who Jack and Draka is, he is the 15-year-old that discovered a cheaper and more effective way to diagnose pancreatic cancer. At 15. That's crazy. Wow. Crazy. So
that sounds amazing, Andrew.
It was awesome. It was very fun. So, Diane,
okay,
what are you up to
incredible.
Right now?
Well, I am just here at the MACE conference. I'm at Kansas State University. And this is the conference that we have 2 that are really big tech conferences in Kansas. This is one of them. Podstock is, of course, in the summer, where we all, as our circle right here, come from, or the Podstock crew. But today I did a session on Google Hangouts and Skype in the classroom, on using Zoom.us. And if you're not familiar with Zoom.us, friends, this one's really interesting for a video conferencing tool. It only requires one person to have a login, the person who starts the meeting. That's it. Then you invite everybody else into it by email. Up to 15 people can be in this call, and it automatically can be recorded to your local device. So here in Google Hangouts, we're archiving into YouTube, and then I download it and send it to Michael and so forth. In Zoom.us, I would be able to record it. It saves as an MP4 on my computer, and then I can send it to him. And I can share my screenshots. You can actually play video on it, to where the video will play with audio to other people. A lot of those in the secondary level are using it. Higher ed are using Zoom.us, and I'm a super fan of this tool, especially if you're going to have an expert dial into your class who is, not tech savvy. For example, we're going to be talking, hopefully, if all goes well, to some folks who experienced the Oklahoma Dust Bowl and the Kansas Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Well, these folks don't need to understand about Google Hangouts and all of that other stuff. All they need is a link to connect, and they're a part of that conversation, and then I can control all the recordings and things from my end. So those are kind of the ways that we're using it.
Awesome.
What about you, Karen? What have you been up to?
Well, I haven't been out traveling at any conferences, but I guess my journey has kind of been here in El Paso. I'll share my mom experience real quick. I have a 6-year-old daughter who's in 1st grade, and I kind of put some of her projects on her own blog. And so this week I tinkered with a free app called ChatterPix. I've had it for a while, but I just hadn't really explored it. But she was drawing some characters that out of a story that her teacher had read to her, and she decided to basically do a little book response with her character and make it talk and chatter pics. And then I was blown away by how it was free and you could save it onto your iPad, and we just got all excited and put it on her blog. So I'll have to share that with you. The other thing is, for the first time in my career as an ITS, I was asked by someone higher up, we'll just say someone higher up, to contact a parent, which normally I don't do. Normally I just work with teachers and classes, students in the classroom, but not specifically parents, for a child that is autistic, and just to help them find apps for the student to use for learning. And so I had the opportunity to talk with the teacher and talk with the parents and learn a little bit about the child and their interest and compile a list of apps to get started. So that's been a little stressful because I really want this kiddo to love learning, and I want his experience here in our district to be a very good experience. And so, yeah, so I'll take any suggestions on apps for first graders that would just get them excited about learning. And so a lot right now with creation apps and interactive books. So.
Well, I'm
one
going
I can
to
share
jump
from
in.
you that I saw this
Maybe
week.
not an app,
Sorry.
but you
Okay,
brought
Michael.
up autism, and I kind of have a story that I want to share that kind of goes along with that. Okay. I got in touch through the science winner from South Carolina with a guy. I don't know if you remember, a couple years ago there was a fire in New York City where 3 daughters and their grandparents and I believe their mother all perished in the fire. I'm not sure about the mother. Yeah, young girls. Well, I got to meet their father through the winner from South Carolina down in D.C. And through his grief, he decided to start a fund called the Lily Grace Sarah Fund.
Amazing
Which is
fun.
the name of his 3 daughters. All 3 of them were autistic. 2 of them had amazing experiences in school because of the arts-infused, inquiry-based teaching that their teachers were doing. And the other daughter didn't have a great experience because she was taught in a more traditional style. And this fund is set up to, through Donors Choose, help fund projects that are that bring that inquiry, arts-infused education to kids in school. And it's not necessarily an app, but if your school or you have teachers that are looking in that direction where they want to get on board with that style of teaching and help all students, not just those with autism, I'm definitely gonna. I talked to the guy, and I definitely want to get more involved in helping that organization because that's right up what I believe as a teacher, what we should be doing with pedagogy.
Yes.
And the stuff that they fund too, they always like put out resources and stuff, so you can go back and see what other teachers are doing and get ideas. They have a great Facebook page, and that is an awesome foundation. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll definitely put that in the show notes.
And I'll share it with the mom. I'm sure. Well, the mom and teacher.
Yes.
I think they'll both really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Diane?
Did we lose Diane?
Oh, did we lose Diane? Oh, maybe.
I know she's at a conference.
That's
I remember
that's
for
just
being
fantastic.
at PNC. Sometimes the internet's a little wonky. So.
That's fantastic. Yes. I'm here.
Well, my lunch was calling me. That's who I just got my phone call from.
Okay, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
We're good. Okay, friends. We will say goodbye and do our lunch roundtable real quickly then. So, Andrea, what's for lunch?
I'm having breakfast burritos with my old class.
So, all right, Karen.
I haven't even thought about lunch yet. I probably grab something from the cafeteria very quickly and head on my way.
Okay, and Mike?
Because we had to be at school so early to Skype with Kenya, I didn't bring my own lunch today, so I ended up having mozzarella sticks from the cafeteria.
And Diane, what are you having today?
Well, and I'm getting ready to hit the road, so yeah, I'm hitting the road, so I'm going to pick something up on the way out of town. But so until next time, friends, thanks for joining us on EdTech Chat and Chew, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, friends, for joining us for this week's EdTech Chat and Chew. We love getting together to learn from each other, and we're happy that you were able to learn along with us today. You can make sure that you don't miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes or to our YouTube channel. If you enjoy the podcast, and you got a few good ideas today, please take a second to leave us a review on iTunes. Leaving a review is a great way to let others know about the show. Show notes and more information about topics from today's episode can be found on our website, edtechchatandchew.weebly.com. If you have questions for us or would like to give us some feedback, drop us an email at edtechchatandchew@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll try and get your questions answered on future shows. On behalf of the podcast team, I'd like to wish you a week filled with all of the amazing things that make teaching the greatest job in the world. Make sure to join us next week for a discussion of some great EdTech tools and projects that are going on in our schools. See you next time. Until then, keep on learning.